Hi everyone, welcome back to biology class, and today we will start off with a new chapter in biology, that is genetics, with some of the basic fundamentals in genetics. Let's have a look at previous class. I taught you about the structure of chromosomes, cell cycle and cell division. As I told you before, you guys are very well known in cell cycle and also the cell division. Yes or no? Because of this genetics, from where it begins, from the structure of chromosomes. Before the structure of chromosomes, in a nucleus of all the well developed organisms, you know that the chromosomes, they are formed in the nucleus, inside the nucleus, that's in the form of what? The chromatin fibers or chromatin threads. Later, after the cell division, at the end of the cell cycle, the chromatin fibers and chromatin thread, they convert into, that's a chromosome. That chromosomes, that's the main function of chromosome. What is the main function of chromosomes here? The chromosome which does the transmission of a characteristics from the parents to offspring. Have you understood? I know parents to the offspring. The transmission, the characteristics, what kind of characteristics? Whatever you can see the external features of a human beings, not only the human beings, it could be the any animals, it could be the plants, it could be the unicellular organisms, whatever it is. So in all the organisms, they used to transmit, they used to adapt some of the characteristics from the parents. Yes or no? That is the reason why we are always similar to our the grandparents. It can be the parents. See, in a family, if any the newborn baby born, the newborn baby was born in a family, automatically the family members, they start begin the comparisons. The comparison, what kind of comparison it is that? See, comparison, it is nothing but, you might look like your grandparents. If not your grandparents, you might look like your exactly the parents who gave birth to you, that your mom and dad. And if not exactly you have some of the features from your parents, like mom and dad, that could be the grandparents. Yes or no? So whatever, it doesn't matter of the immediate parents or a grandparents. So the surely you are going to adopt some of the characteristics from the previous ancestors. Have understood? In this chapter, we will start to learn the genetics. As I told you, the transmission of characteristics, that is nothing but the genes which we get from the parents. So let's start with our new topic, that's genetics. So what is genetics? See, genetics, which is nothing but the transmission of body features. The body features. What are the body features? See, body features are nothing but, so the shape of the shape, the height, and also the color of the skin. Have understood? The color of your eyes, eyebrow, the muscles, the hair, all these called as the transmission of body features. Have understood? From where? From parents to the offspring. Offsprings are nothing but the newborn babies. Have understood? Yes. For the first time, before the starting of a lesson, for the first time, the genetics. The genetics was coined by the term. The term was coined by the Gregor Mendel. He was the scientist who discovered the term called as genetics. Not only the term, the complete structure and everything was discovered by the Gregor Mendel. See, Gregor Mendel, he was a German scientist who was basically studied in the mathematics and the science in the University of Vienna. The Vienna is a university, so where he has completed his studies. And most important thing is, the Gregor Mendel, he was very interested in teaching field. See, not in a scientific field, okay? Because of, he would like to be a teacher, not to be the scientist. Unfortunately, he couldn't able to crack the teaching certificate. He failed to get a teaching certificate. That is the reason why. So he can't be the professional teacher. But the later, once he rejected, once he failed, the getting a certificate from the teachers. Again he started experiments on a different plants and animals. So that makes him the teachers for the teachers. So he was a teacher for all the teachers. He can't be a professional teacher, but he became the teacher. He became the teacher to all the teachers. It shows that it's a greater than a teacher. See, normally the teachers, they used to teach the small kids, college students, but the Gregor Mendel, he became the teacher for the teachers. So that is the main important the role he has played in the genetics. He taught the complete structure and everything to all the teachers. Whenever the needs, whatever the necessary, the important materials, all the things. The Gregor Mendel, and later he discovered his own the law of inheritance, where the Gregor Mendel, the later he discovered the law of, the name itself has given the Mendel's law of inheritance. That Mendel's law of inheritance, which deals about the complete genetics. That genetics, it's nothing but, so what are the variation among the individuals and also the family members. Have understood? So he studied, the later, there's one more important thing is the heredity. When it comes to the genetics, the heredity is the most important thing. Yes or no? As I told you before, the chromosomes which carries the hereditary characteristics from parents to the offspring. Yes or no? That heredity it is nothing but the transmission of the genetically based characteristic features from parents to the offspring. Have understood? See, that is the body features. Genetics means it's all about the transmission of body features from the parents to the offspring. But when it comes to the heredity, it is the transmission of the genetical characters. So what are those genetical characters? See, let us start. Have an example here. See, have a look. As you guys know very well that in all the animals, they give birth to the young ones. Yes or no? In all the most of the mammals. Not only the mammals, in all the living organisms, they have a special characteristics called as the reproduction. Yes or no? See, that reproduction, have a look here. We have some of the examples for the heredity. So how does the heredity? The cats, you know very well, the cats which give birth to the kittens, not to the dogs. Yes or no? Not to the dogs, not to the puppies, not to the donkeys, right? And the one more thing, the dogs which give birth to the puppies, which is nothing but the newborn puppies, newborn babies, that's called as puppies. The same, the human beings which give birth to the young one, that's babies. Yes or no? See, all those examples of a heredity. And not only that heredity, for example, bacteria, some of the bacteria like especially, the conversion of milk into the curd, that bacteria also which multiplies and that reproduce the same characteristics of bacteria only. That bacteria will not produce some other bacteria. Yes or no? So this is all these characteristics. Those characteristics are called as the genetic characteristics. Have understood? That genetic characteristics that indicates the heredity characteristics of the particular persons or organisms. Have understood here? And next, the important most thing, like baguettes and eggs, there are some variations. Don't you think that the generation will continuous when the organisms reproduces? That leads to the give birth to the young ones. Yes or no? Do you think that the young ones are exactly the look like the parents? Exactly in the sense either they are identical to the parents or similar to the parents. Exactly not identical to their parents. There are some variations from parents to the offspring. Have understood? The offsprings that never been identical to the parents in any organisms. When it comes to the some of the the variations for population in a family, you know that very well. We might look like my parents, like either it can be my mother or a father. The next generation maybe they maybe look like for me exactly they look like us. Yes or no? So that's how the variations which changes. And here the small differences among the individuals, the small differences which means your father and mother they might be look like the white, the bright in color, the brightness color of the skin, but you might look like black color skin that you are adopted from your grandparents. Yes or no? And you might have all the normally all the people they are having that's 10 fingers. Yes or no? But you might get one extra finger. So that is the reason be your grandparents. If not your grandparents, that can be the reason for that immediate parents, that's your the father and mother. So this is how the important variation, and most important, the variations are the most important in all the living organisms. If there is no variations in a living individual in between the individuals, that leads to the imbalance of the ecosystem. Have you understood? And here let us start with the chromosomes, the carries of an heredity. The previous chapter I told you the chromosomes which carries the heredity. Heredity means, I hope you understood, heredity which is nothing but the transmission of the genetical characteristics, the basic characteristic features from parents to the offspring. So which does the function, which one? The chromosomes. Understood? And whenever the karyotypes are nothing but the breakdown, the changes in the chromosomes when during the cell division, the third stage of a cell division, the chromosomes, the chromatin thread gets converted into the chromosomes. It's called as the karyotypes, the breakdown of a nucleus. They always the chromosomes number will be similar as like in their parents. See, when it comes to the number of chromosomes in all the living organisms, they have the certain different variations, and also not only that variations, they living in a different ecosystems. Yes or no? They living in different biodiversities. Every organism they have particular numbers of chromosomes. There is no unlimited number of chromosomes over there. When it comes to the particular organism or a population, that all the population which belongs to the one family. Have you understood? In that family, they will be containing that some particular numbers of chromosomes. When it comes to the human beings, the 46 numbers of chromosomes. Have a look here. I have mentioned some of the chromosomes numbers in a different organisms here. Clear now? Have a look. The first one, the chromosomes in a human. In a chromosomes, the total number of chromosomes in a human, that's 46 numbers. This is the total numbers of a chromosome. That 46, which is nothing but 23 pairs. The 46, not 46 pairs. It's 26 pairs of, 23 pairs of chromosomes in a humans. And the same way, in some of the plants like the maize, the 20 numbers of chromosomes. That's 20 number of chromosomes means 10 pairs. 10 pairs of a chromosome. One pair which is nothing but the 2. And here Ascaris, the some of the parasites like an Ascaris, that Ascaris only the one pair of chromosomes. And the crayfish, that's a sea fish, 200 number of chromosome, which means the 100 pairs. The 100 pairs of chromosome. When it comes to some of the insects, they have the most number of the chromosomes number on the earth surface. That insects is more than 1000, not exactly the 1000, the more than 1000 numbers of chromosomes. Have you understood? So this is some of the numbers of chromosomes they present in the different individuals, the organisms. And here the most important the concept here, the chromosomes in a homologous in pairs. You just have a look here. In all the living organisms, as I mentioned, the numbers of a chromosome 46, 20, 200, it could be the 1000. Just observe it carefully. The homologous pair, homologous What is homologous? Homo means same. Homo means it's the same. Logous, homologous. All the chromosomes occurs in even number. There is no odd number here. In all the living organisms, the chromosomes in the pair. There is no odd number here. All the even numbers only. So here, this shows that the chromosomes are in always in a pair. There is no individual numbers of a chromosomes are. They are always there in pair. So these, especially as I told you here, the 46 number of a chromosomes means this is 23 in pairs. The same way, and the chromosomes are similar in size. There is no variations like the similar always the similar in size. The shape of the chromosomes always are the same, and they derive from the two parents. What are the two parents? See, if higher organisms like the multicellular organisms, then young ones, whatever the young ones, that produced by the fusion of the combination of the two parents, the two different organisms. Yes or no? When it comes to the human being, the father and the mother, the male and the female organisms. The animals also, the male and the female. The bird, the two different individuals, that's called as the male and the female. Understood? The male and the female chromosomes. Exactly, they share the number of chromosomes from the two different individuals. The 46 means, example, in a human being, in every healthy human being, they will be having the 46 numbers of chromosomes. So, which is nothing but the 23 chromosomes from the father, the 23 chromosomes from the mother. Have you understood? In that 23 and 23 numbers, there again there will be the special chromosomes called as the sex chromosomes that we will be continuing here. Okay. So, have a look. Before that, always the identical chromosomes are the homologous chromosomes. All the chromosomes, as I told you, they are arranged in the pairs of a chromosomes. Whenever they are arranged in the pairs of the chromosomes, they are always identical. Only such chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. When it comes to the different chromosomes, that's heterologous chromosomes. When the chromosomes are identical each other, that such chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. Clear now? Heterologous means then the dissimilar sets of chromosomes are called as the heterologous chromosomes. Clear now? And have a look here. This is a structure of the first class itself. I taught you this, the structure of a chromosome. First class in the sense the chapter 2, in the introduction part itself I have explained the structure of chromosome. See, always the chromosome, the two sister chromatids, they are attached. The specialized structure that's called as centromere. This is called as a centromere. On the surface of a centromere, there is a protective layer. On the surface of a centromere, you just imagine that the leather ball. Inside the ball, the outer covering layer which is completely covered with that leather. Yes or no? So, the leather which is nothing but it is like a protective layer. So, that protects the inside the things. The same way here also, that centromere externally covered by the small thin layer that is called as kinetochore. Kinetochore. K-I-N-A-T-O-C-H-O-R-E. Kinetochore. These are some of the important things. As one more thing, at the end of the cell division, these are the sister chromatids. They are separated each other, and again the chromosomes, they will be in the form of the chromatin fibers. That's how the cell cycle which continues. That you know very well. And most important, there are mainly the categories of chromosomes. When it comes to the categories which is nothing but a type of chromosomes. Have a look here. The categories of chromosomes, the mainly the two are there. Two categories of chromosomes are there. Which are those? Autosomes and sex chromosomes. See, autosomes and sex chromosomes, they are the categories of chromosomes. What are autosomes and what are sex chromosomes? Let's study now. Okay, the first category of the chromosomes are autosomes. Here, so now before that an autosomes, I told you here, in a human being the 46 numbers of a chromosome, the 46 numbers means so 23 pairs. That 23 pairs of a chromosome, 1 to 23rd pair of a chromosomes, they are always identical. 1 to 22nd, 1 to 22nd, the sets of the pair of chromosomes are always identical. The last pair, that is the 23rd pair, the 23rd pair are they not identical. Clear now? So, which is nothing but they are not identical means the female and the male, the sex chromosomes and the autosomes, they are not different. Have you understood? The sex chromosomes means, have a look here, the sex chromosomes means the 23rd pair. Autosomes means 1 to 22nd pairs of chromosomes, they are always identical. The sex chromosome, that is in a 23rd pair. That 23rd pair is a different. They are always different, which are designated as X and Y. See, this is the most important thing. Have a look, observe it carefully. 1 to 22nd pairs are always identical. The identical chromosomes. 1 to 22nd. The 23rd pair of chromosomes, which are designated as X and Y. Those X and Y call it as the sex chromosome. These sex chromosomes, which when it comes to the females, the two sex chromosomes are X and X, that indication of that's a female. The X and Y, the two different, that is nothing but two dissimilar characteristics, dissimilar pair of chromosomes such as X and Y, that X and Y chromosomes they present in the males. XX means that is the female, the X and Y chromosomes they present in the males. Have a look here, look carefully. The dissimilar partner of the chromosomes, the males. So this is the most important. This indicates the male baby and female baby, because of here when it comes to the male sex chromosomes, they have dissimilar partners, but when it comes to the females, they have only the similar partners. Have you understood? The dissimilar partners, the fusion of the gametes, I will explain you later. The fusion of gametes, have you understood? That decides the sex of the baby. The same way, have a look here, the Y chromosome always smaller than X chromosome. The Y chromosomes always smaller than X chromosomes here, which is nothing but the Y chromosomes. X chromosomes means it's in a completely developed chromosome. That's how. And the Y chromosomes. This is the Y chromosome. This is the X chromosome. Y chromosome is always smaller than X chromosome. And here, the sex determination, how the babies will form, how the babies that determine the sex of the babies. Have a look here, the sex determination. See, you know that the male gametes and the female gametes. The male gametes, which are the male gametes? The male gametes are the sperms, the female gametes are eggs. During the reproduction, the male, the combination of the male gamete, that is X and Y. Here is the male. X and X, it's a female. When during the reproduction, the male sex organs they are injected into the female organs. When the sperms get released into the female organ, so what will happen? the fusion of the gametes, the fusion of the male gametes, that's sperms. That sperms their fusion with the eggs. So that is decide the sex of the baby. Have a look here. You know that the male chromosomes are the dissimilar partners. Yes or no? The female chromosomes are the similar partners. When the male sex organs they releases the male gamete, that is X and Y. The X, one is sperms. The X, the one X when fuses with the female gamete, that's called a one X. That helps the formation of the female baby, and one Y, the Y chromosome, that is Y sperm, that is the fusion with the female, it's an X, X and Y, that's the indication of the male or boy baby. So this is the formation of the sex of the new generations. Have you understood? So last session I told you that the sex determination, how the sex of the baby which determines, that depends upon the pair of chromosomes. Yes or no? See, in this class I will tell you the genes and their alleles. The last class I told you the sex determination, the male gametes and the female gametes are not two similar and dissimilar are there. Yes or no? When it comes to the female gametes, that's an X and X, they are not similar. When it comes to the male, that's an X and Y, they are dissimilar. So those genes and their alleles. So let's start with the genes. I told you that the gene, which is nothing but the specific sequence of a DNA. Yes or no? The specific sequence of a DNA which determines the characters which are nothing but the features that which carries from the parents to the offspring. Yes or no? See here the alleles. What are alleles? See, alleles are nothing but every gene has two alternative forms of a characters that producing alternative. Just look at this. Two alternative forms for a character producing a different effects. These alternative forms are called as alleles. Two different effects means, which is nothing but, have a look. See, one can roll the tongue and another cannot roll the tongue. So this is one of the examples. For example, we can roll our tongue like this. Yes or no? You can roll your tongue like circle wise. But in the same way that belongs to your family, human cannot the roll the tongue. See, in this, the rolling of the tongue, which is nothing but the characters, these alleles, these are pair of alleles that producing the different effects. In that different effects, we had one example, that is the rolling of the tongue. In that rolling of the tongue, one person cannot roll the tongue and one person cannot roll the tongue. Clear now? See here, because of the reason why one person can roll the tongue, one person cannot roll the tongue, the dominant and the recessive alleles. The dominant and the recessive alleles, here, what is dominant and the recessive? The dominant, which is nothing but the domination of or suppressing the characteristics which dominate the other characteristics of a gene, that's called as a dominant. See, out of these two genes, the two genes which are nothing but that's the two are there. Which are those? The dominant and another one is the recessive. Always the dominant characteristics which indicates in the capital R, that's a rolling, which indicates the capital R. When it comes to the recessive means the suppressed characters, that domination of the characters which indicates in a capitals. Always the recessive characters which indicates in the small r, in the same letter of the dominant character only, which will use for the recessive. not in a different letter for the recessive character 6. So, here once you use the dominant character for a D, for example, you should use a small d itself. Here you will use the D and here you cannot use the A or B or C. Have you understood? And here when it comes to the domination, the homozygous, there are mainly the three types are there. Homozygous, the homozygous similar, and here the heterozygous, that is not dissimilar. Homologous and homozygous are the same. Here the homozygous means they are always in a similar. For example, A, the capital A, the pair of chromosome, the pair of alleles, that indicates the particular characteristics. Yes or no? This pair always with the similar. If the characteristics, if the alleles which indicates the capital A, the second letter also which indicates the capitals only. The homozygous similar here also. This is called as a recessive here. This is called as recessive. The capital B and a capital B. And heterozygous dissimilar. Heterozygous dissimilar means, so these are the dissimilars. The capital A and a small a. The capital B and a small b, which indicates the heterozygous dissimilar. Hetero means they are not different here. They not belongs to the same. The capital means that the homo. This capital A and a small a is called as different. It's called as hetero. That's all because of there will be two important characteristics are there. Which are those? Because of the genotype and the phenotype. Genotypes which processing the characteristics through the genes. The processing of the genes are called as genotypic. Clear now? Phenotypic means the external appearance of the characteristics. So such are called as phenotypic. Before that, the genotypic and phenotypic, then the three different the situation of the tongue rollers. As I told you here, there are three different are there. The capital R, that is capital R, always the first letter of the gene, that is a capital letter which indicates the type. Have you understood? The dominant, always the capitals which indicates the dominant, the tongue roller. It's dominant. When it comes to here, different pairs of alleles are there. One R is capital, the one R is the small r, which is nothing but one is dominant, this capital R is always a dominant, the small r is always, one is recessive. The recessive means it's also the tongue roller, because of this capital R, which is the indication for the tongue roller, which decides the characteristics, which decides. Have you understood? And the last type, the third type, the small r and the small r. These both are recessive. As I told you before, when it comes the pair of alleles, they contain the first letter of the dominant, which suppress the characteristics of a recessive. Understood? Always this capital R suppress the dominance of characteristics of the recessives. The same way here, the small r and the small r, which is the indication of the recessive. Here, the non-tongue roller. Have you understood? The tongue rollers have two kinds of genetical constitutions. As I told you here, the phenotype and the genotype. They are the two different types of genetic constitution. The genetic constitution, which is nothing but the genotype. The first one is the genotype, so genetic constitution. Then the genotype, again there are two types are there. The homozygous dominant, homozygous, they are always similar, that is a capital R and capital O. Homozygous similar and the heterozygous. Heterozygous means they are no different, the capital R and the small r. The last one, the single homozygous recessive. I told you before itself, So this is a single homozygous, because of both are the recessives only. So that's why we called as homozygous, the recessives, not they are heterozygous. Heterozygous means one is a capital, one is a smaller. If they are both are not capital R and capital R, they are homozygous. So capital R and small r, they are heterozygous. So that's it. And one more important thing of a tongue rollers, from one parents to the children, how the tongue rollers can transmit. Have a look here. For the example, when it comes to the inheritance, the characteristics which receives from the parents, yes or no? So let's start with the tongue roller. For the example, for tongue roller, see if the case that characteristics, it's an easy to calculate the tongue roller of the next generation with the help of Punnett square. This is the Punnett square. This is the method how we calculate the genetic characteristics, and also we can calculate the phenotype and the genotype characteristics with the Punnett square. Have you understood? Say for example, the two different types of parents will take. Here the first one is the female parent, that is a heterozygous tongue roller. Heterozygous tongue roller means the capital R, the small r, heterozygous, they are not in a homozygous. Heterozygous, capital R and a small r. Here the one more male parent, the male parent called as the capital R and a capital R. They are always homozygous dominant, there are no dominant characteristics here. See how we will calculate the genetic characteristics. Whatever the genetic characteristics, we have to consider with the plain manner. So 1 R, the capital R in 1 square and a small r in 1 square. Always the dominant characteristics which is placed on the top of the Punnett square. Have you understood? The Punnett, the dominant characteristics. Which are the dominant characteristics? Capital R and a capital R. So how we will calculate here? We have to multiply these genetic characteristics and we have to enter inside the Punnett square boxes. Clear now? See, have a look. This is capital R and a capital R. Capital R and a capital R. The capital R of a female parent, the capital R of a female parent, and capital R from the male parent. Small r from the female parent, but here what we have to do, whatever we have the dominant characteristics, that we have to enter the first, the capital R and a small r. The capital R and small r. So this is how we have to multiply the genetic characteristics. Now have you understood? These are the triads. So this is how we have to multiply. So you have a look here, all the characteristics, they are the domination. Yes or no? Which is nothing but the homozygous dominant. They are the tongue rollers. The first generation is the tongue rollers. The second one, the homozygous tongue roller. This baby also they can roll the tongue. And third one, heterozygous. They are not different. They are not in the same. The one is in a capital, one is in a small. So that is the reason why we call it as the heterozygous tongue roller, because of the first trait of the gene, this capital R, which decides the characteristics. So that means the capital R which can roll the tongue. The heterozygous tongue roller here also. Heterozygous, they are all homozygous, because of they can both of the traits are the same. So that is the reason. But here they are not different. One R is in a capital, one R is in a small. So that is why heterozygous tongue roller. See outcome, the outcome of the next generation. So what are the possibilities of the next generation of the tongue roller? We had an example, let's the tongue roller. The outcome of the next generation, it's totally the 50-50 chances, the 50%. All the 4 children can roll the tongue, but here the 50% of the characteristics is a dominant homozygous tongue roller. 50%. Here they are the homozygous, and here heterozygous tongue rollers. These two children also they can roll the tongue. The 50% heterozygous. They can also roll their tongues. So outcome, the complete the next generation, all the babies can roll the tongue. So this is how the genetical characteristics will decide. Log on to Global International online classes. Thank you.